During the construction of the world's deepest diving pool in Dubai, when a 45-meter tunnel was dug into the ground, an unusual issue arose for the engineering team. A disease halted the team's efforts. They found out that in Poland, a diving pool called Deep Spot has opened, which is also 45 meters deep. It's evident that if Dubai wants to claim the title of the deepest pool, they will need to increase its depth from 45 meters to 60 meters. However, this task is much more challenging than it sounds. It is as hard to do as it sounds easy. Experts calculated that if the pool's depth is increased to 60 meters, the groundwater pressure would easily push up. It's akin to pouring a full bottle of water into a water tank. It will stay on the surface. Or if you pour the pool's water into the tank, it will also remain on the surface. When we mention them, the first name that comes to mind is Dubai, which boasts 425 Guinness World Records and is the leading city in the Middle East. It feels as though this position is something that the rulers of Dubai are unwilling to relinquish under any circumstances. Do not wish to lose. An additional entry was added to this World Records library at the request of Dubai's Prince Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Today, the world is known as Deep Dive Dubai. It is not just a pool, rather it is a bizarre and extraordinary world. This pool has a theme of a submerged city where divers get to experience something unique. This pool has a theme of a submerged city where divers get to experience something unique, which was tough to even consider. In order to maintain the cleanliness of the pool water, a system has been created with NASA's assistance that purifies 14 million liters every 6 hours. Regardless of whether the outside temperature is 50 degrees Celsius or 20 degrees, the pool water is consistently kept at 30 degrees for divers' comfort. We are more fascinated by the construction techniques of this deep dive than its features, as the engineering community thinks that this deepest pool in Dubai is an engineering feat. It is an engineering masterpiece. During the construction of the deep dive in Dubai, engineers faced various challenges. Let's take a look at these without wasting any time. The first hurdle was in planning and design. Sheikh Hamdan, the Crown Prince, desired a design that showcased the cultural values of Dubai. Before oil and tourism, Dubai sought to show its cultural values through pearl design. The world's deepest diving pool inside it, with global architects and engineers involved. The simplest method proposed was to erect a sturdy building 45 meters tall and then fill it with water. This idea had a flaw. The pool could be 45 meters deep, but to break a world record, it must not be above ground, but it should be built below this. Secondly, Dubai is a very hot city. If the pool is constructed above ground in a building, the heat of the environment will affect the pool. The surrounding atmosphere can also encompass it. The Crown Prince of Dubai desired a pool that would not just be designed uniquely, but also have a depth that would be the talk of the world. The depth should also be a topic of conversation worldwide. Consequently, it was determined that the world's deepest diving pool would be dug underground. A shaft would be created in the ground. It will be a vertical shaft, not horizontal. This marked the beginning of a new challenge, which was excavation. The engineering team's challenge was to dig a shaft that would be 65 feet wide and 147 feet deep. Not only did they need to excavate this shaft, but they also had to construct a wall around it to prevent collapse. In engineering terms, this wall is called a diaphragm wall. To accomplish this task, a specific excavator was procured, which, with the aid of the machine, dug down to a depth of 147 feet, achieving a width comparable to that of a pillar. After that, a steel cage was placed inside and concrete was filled in to complete the structure. And then, in the same manner, the entire diaphragm wall was constructed in small chunks. This entire process took more than 2 months to complete. Subsequently, the excavation commenced with a plan to dig 5 meters at a time down to 45 meters, where the diaphragm wall was located. However, after just the first 5 meters of excavation, a new challenge awaited them, dealing with groundwater. After the diaphragm wall was constructed, excavation started and water began to flow from underground after 8 meters. The diaphragm wall had small gaps because it was built in chunks. As a result of the gaps, groundwater began to effortlessly seep out and collect in the tunnel space. Excavation is impossible without managing groundwater. It was indeed. 45,000 tons of soil. 45,000 tons of soil, sand, and stone debris were removed. After the pumps were turned off, water began to fill the tunnel again. It was necessary that waterproof the diaphragm wall first. The diaphragm wall was waterproofed over the next few months, and only after that were the pumps stopped. Total waterproofing was done for the diaphragm wall, tunnel excavation, and to prevent groundwater. It took more than 3 years. The engineering team was already delayed. Every day counted, but during this period, a new issue emerged in the construction of Deep Dive. The design was altered. Once the diaphragm wall was ready, excavation was also completed and groundwater was managed. At that moment, news came that a deep diving pool named Deep Spot had opened near Warsaw, Poland, with a depth of 45 meters, which is about 147 feet. This news struck the entire Deep Dive project team like lightning because all their hard work was aimed at setting a world record. In general, most details of such projects are kept secret, and this was the case here as well. Upon learning of this, the Crown Prince of Dubai demanded that the depth of Deep Dive be raised even more. It is still possible to set a world record with ease. However, there was a problem here. The groundwater was located just 8 meters below the surface, which was pushing to a depth of 45 meters. This means the groundwater would push the entire pool from below. This force is called buoyant force. The engineers had previously calculated this force to be countered by the water that would be entering the pool. This calculation took into account the pool's depth of 45 meters in mind. However, if the depth of the pool were to be increased by another 15 meters, it is clear that the buoyant force would also increase significantly. And it is possible that the pool could completely float out of the ground with the diaphragm wall. As a result of this issue, all construction work was halted. To find a solution as soon as possible was very important. After much research, finding a solution became crucial. A solution has been identified. There will be an extra 15 meters of digging in the tunnel, but the diameter of this additional 15 meters will be roughly 45 meters. As a result, the area of the buoyancy force will be nearly halved compared to the 45-meter diameter. Moreover, an under-reaming base will be established below the tunnel. The term under-reaming base describes a technique in which an anchor-like object is driven into the ground beneath the structure's foundation. Similar to how an anchor secures a ship, under-reaming holds the entire structure firmly with the ground. In this way, the depth of the Deep Dive has been extended from 45 meters to 60 meters, and the entire project has once again become eligible for the Guinness Book. The issues are still unresolved. As days went by, it was becoming risky to keep the 60-meter tunnel dry without water, because cancelling the buoyancy force is only possible with the water present inside the pool. If this structure is left unfilled for an extended period, it may rise completely because of groundwater pressure. The challenge was that the Dubai Water Supply Authority could only supply a limited quantity of water, which was insufficient for filling the required 1,40 lakh liters. If filled at this rate, it could take 3 months to fill the pool completely. In order to meet the deadline and complete this work quickly, over 100 water tankers were arranged in addition to the supply from the Dubai Water Authority were brought in. You can understand the immense scale of Deep Dive by realizing that it took a full month to fill the pool even with all the preparations. Before filling the pool, a theme of the submerged city was created inside, and only then was the water added. I encountered new challenges as certain materials began to corrode and some items started to float after absorbing water. Subsequently, they took measures to address this. They created holes in those items and added extra weight to prevent them from floating. After completing all the finishing touches, the first Deep Dive was opened for special guests in 2021 and then for the public in 2022. The cost of Deep Dive in Dubai has been kept secret by the Dubai government so far, as they consider it a priceless project. A priceless project.